everyone, welcome back to What's on My Plate. So for today I'm making bread and buttered pickles. They're going to be delicious and you're going to love it. So let's get started. Okay, so to get started with my bread and buttered pickles, we need mini cucumbers. So it's 1 pound, it's about 6 or 7 of them. We need a green bell pepper, 2 cloves of garlic, and a small yellow onion. So that is the main ingredients in here besides our seasoning. So I'm going to start slicing my cucumber and then we'll get to all the steps. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I cut the ends off of my cucumber, and you just slice them a 1/4 inch thick or however thick you want it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start slicing this. Okay, so I'm going to do this for all of them. And again, these are mini cucumbers. And I would like to tell you why I like the bread and butter pickle. I remember the first time I had a bread and butter pickle. I was actually living in Florida and I went to this restaurant, and the restaurant had burgers, and so I got this burger and I was like, wow, this burger is amazing. And it wasn't the burger that was amazing, it was the fact that they had bread and buttered pickles on it. So it made such a difference. So ever since then I enjoy putting bread and buttered pickles on my burgers. I love dill pickles too. But that's my memory, and that was so long ago because I don't live in Florida now. So that is my memory of it, and that's how much it made such a difference with that burger. It was the bread and buttered pickle. So I thought I'd share that with you. So I'm just going to slice the rest of these. I'll just finish up this side here, and then we need a 1/2 of a green bell pepper. So I have that here. I'm going to transfer these over to a glass dish. Okay. I'll finish the other cucumbers after, and then just the bell pepper, just slice it thin. Hope you could see it. It's really thin. And it adds like an extra little something to the pickle. Okay, see how like thin they are? They smell nice. I'm going to add that in there too. And this little piece. Okay, I'll finish the other piece of this. And the onion, you just need a small onion. This is a medium. I'm just going to do 1/2 of this and then thinly slice the onion as well. Okay. Okay, and then I would just maybe cut them in 1/2 so they're not large rings here. Okay, so that's my onion. And then we're also going to need 2 garlic cloves, thinly sliced as well. So I'm just going to slice the garlic nice and thin. Hopefully you could see this. Okay. And I'm going to set the garlic aside. I'm not going to add it to the cucumber and onion because I'm going to go ahead and salt the cucumber and onion. So let me just finish chopping this here, and then we'll get to the next step. Okay, so in my dish here, I have my cucumber, I have my onion, and I have my thinly sliced pepper. So I'm just going to mix this up. And now what we need to do is we need to exude the water from the cucumber and the pepper. So we need to add salt. So we're going to add the salt. We're going to let this sit for like an hour. If you want longer, I don't think it needs more than 2 hours. You could do 3, 4, but I'm just going to do an hour. It's a mini cucumber and they're already sliced. We're going to, an hour I think is more than enough. So I'm going to add salt to this. And it's kosher salt. So I'm going to add my kosher salt in here. Okay. I'm going to mix it up to get it all over every cucumber. Okay, and the salt is going to bring that water right out. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to set this aside. And then after the hour's up, we're going to go ahead and rinse all the salt off because it's definitely going to penetrate in the cucumber and the onion and the pepper. So this is more than enough salt. So I would say I added about, let me see, about 1 tablespoon to 1.5 tablespoons of salt. You don't need any more of that than that. So I'm going to go ahead and set this aside, and then we are going to work on the spices, and we're going to add some vinegar, a little bit of water, and then when the hour's up, we're going to rinse these, and then we're going to dump this right into that vinegar mixture, the brine. So we'll get to that step next. Okay, so we're going to work on the spices. I just want them all in one bowl. This way, when I'm heating up the vinegar, we need the vinegar to get to a boil, all the spices I could just throw in. So it's just easier. Okay, so what we need here is mustard seed, 1/2 tablespoon of mustard seed. Okay, then we need celery seed. 1/2 teaspoon of celery seed. Okay, so put that there. We need 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric, and let me see, 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric. And we need allspice, so we just need 1/8 of allspice. Okay, and then we need 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Okay, and then we need, well, that's 1/2 teaspoon, so we need 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. And then we need 1 teaspoon of, this is coarse ground pepper. If you have the peppercorns, that would be great. Okay, and then I need a little, I have a bay leaf. It's a crushed bay leaf. I'm going to add that in there as well. Okay, so that's my seasoning. Okay, very colorful. Okay, so the seasoning is ready. We're going to go ahead and start putting this together. We need sugar and vinegar and a little bit of water. So that'll be the next step. Okay, so what we need here is 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. Okay, we need 1 cup of white distilled vinegar. Get that. Okay, I'm going to turn this on. Okay, and now we need 1.5 cups of sugar. So let me get something to scoop the sugar out. Okay. 1.5 cups of sugar. So. Okay. And we need a 1/4 cup of water, just because this is going to boil up and we want the, it's gonna like reduce the liquid, so I wanted to add some more water. So what we need to do is we have to cook this until all the sugar dissolves. Okay, so just put it on like a medium high heat, just mix it around. Okay, and so while this is the sugar's dissolving, we'll go ahead and add all our spices. Okay, just mix it up. So again, this is only going to cook until the sugar is dissolved, and we need it to get to a boil. So just let it get to a boil. It'll be a few minutes. Mix it around, make sure that sugar dissolves. Okay, and now it's been over an hour for my cucumbers. So I'm going to start draining them and washing off the salt. That'll be the next step. Okay, so I have a strainer here. I'm going to go ahead and dump, look at the juices that are coming out of this. I'm going to dump all of this in here. Okay. And we're going to wash off the salt, like wash it off. Okay, make sure every bit of that salt is off. Okay, let me see. Wow, they're salty. I mean, it has enough salt in there, so just wash it all off. Okay, and shake this off. And then we're going to set it aside and put this right in the bowl here. So here, so we're gonna go ahead and place it in the bowl here that I had, so it can just absorb the water I just poured on it. So the flavor's there. You could just taste it and you'll see. We added enough salt. Okay, so now this here is coming to a boil. Okay, so I'm going to lower the heat just a little bit, let the rest of that water drain off of the cucumbers, and then we're going to throw the cucumbers in here. That'll be the next step. Okay, so I patted them dry the best I could. Now I'm going to go ahead and add them into my vinegar brine. Okay, so just the sugar's dissolved. So now we're going to go ahead and start adding the cucumbers in. With the peppers and the onion, of course. Oh, I forgot to add my garlic. It was supposed to go in before I added the cucumber, but it's okay. It's going to get to a boil again. It'll just be fine. Okay. So now let's mix this up. It already smells like it. The bread and butter pickle. Okay, look how good that looks. Okay, so now we need it. It's not boiling anymore because we added the cucumber, but we need to get it to a boil. And as soon as it gets to a boil, we'll let it boil for like a minute. No longer, because we want the cucumbers to have a crunch. So you don't want to boil them too long. but they're sitting in this boiling liquid right now. So let it get to a boil again. And I have it on a medium, it's like a medium heat. And then once it starts boiling, we're just going to leave it for 1 minute, and then we're going to shut it off and let it cool at room temperature, and then I'm going to put them in jars. It's delicious. I'm so excited. Look how good that looks. Okay, so we'll get to those steps next. Okay, so it's starting to get to a boil. So we'll just leave it on for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're going to shut this off. It smells incredible. It smells like a bread and buttered pickle. I just also want to tell you about the salt. I added kosher salt because when you're making things with the brine, if you use like the table salt or the iodized salt, it doesn't work well when you're pickling something. That's why you need like a pickling salt or kosher salt, because it doesn't have that in there. Or you can use a sea salt. The iodized salt actually browns your cucumber or your pickle. It starts to brown it and discolor it. That's why we use either kosher salt, sea salt, or pickling salt. Just wanted to tell you that. So now I'm shutting this off. I'm going to set it aside, just let it cool. It doesn't have to be cold, but just like, let's, let it cool off to kind of room temperature. And then we'll go ahead and I'm going to start adding it to my jars. And I'm going to remove it off the heat here because this is hot. So I'm just going to put it on a different burner. And then when this is cooled off, we'll get to the next step. Okay, so my buttered pickles are good. They're cooled off a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding it into my jars. I don't know if you could see me. I figure I'll just show you that I'm putting them in the jars, and you could see the mess that I make. Because this is what's happening. I'm going to make a mess. So I'm just going to add them in here. Okay. They smell amazing, and I tasted it. It's like, wow. It's a bread and buttered pickle. So I'm just putting it in jars, and I'm going to put it in the fridge. I'm not going to jar it and like boil the jars or any of that kind of stuff, right? There's more pickles in there, but I just have to actually probably use a slotted spoon. I would do this all off camera, but this way you can see every little step of my mess. Okay. Let's get all this in here. Little pieces of garlic in there. Okay. If I had a larger jar, it probably would have all fit into a larger jar. So to make this easier now from this point on, I'm going to go ahead and pour the liquid in here. This way I can get this into the jar easier. All right, so it wasn't as messy. It's not as messy as I thought. Usually it's very messy when I do this part. Okay, so here's my jars again. Okay, they taste amazing, but they're still like warm. When they're cold, they're going to be even better, but they're so good at this point right now. I'm going to go ahead and fill my jars. So since I'm not doing the canning process, I'm just going to, because usually you have to leave room if you're doing the canning process. And it even says it on the jar, like fill to here. Look at that. Those are my bread and buttered pickles. Give you a close-up. Look at that. Look how good that looks. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a pickle out really quick. It's everything a bread and butter pickle should taste like. It's amazing. And I thank you so much for watching what's on my plate. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lids on and refrigerate them. I did grow, I was trying to grow my whole garden this summer. And to be honest with you, I don't know what happened, but I produced some tomatoes, but everything else I planted, it just didn't work. My cucumbers, I don't have an abundance. If I had an abundance, I would do the canning process and save them, but it just didn't work out this year for me. I'm upset about it, but anyway, so I just bought these mini cukes and I made it like this, and they're amazing, and I hope you try it, and I thank you again for watching what's on my plate.